All right, students, let me try another one here from chapter 15. It's number 42, so it's a conceptual one here. But it says, draw a diagram representing a standing wave pattern for the fourth harmonic of a rope fixed at both ends. How many nodes are there? Okay, so if you've got a moment, go and look at my video solutions number 25. And it's 24 and 25 are together, because this is where I talk about the standing wave pattern again. So I'm going to draw a standing wave pattern. And if you haven't seen that video, at least hopefully you've seen the video in class where I stand in class and I make a standing wave pattern. That is, I take a wave and I shake it. And just kind of review, the wave would look like this at some moment in time, and I had this big long rope. It was actually a spring, and I tied it on both ends so the ends couldn't move. And what would happen is this crest would come down, and a little bit later in time it would look like this, because each of the crests would move down and each of the troughs would move up. A little later in time, this crest here would now cross a horizontal line, so it would look horizontal for a small moment in time. A little later after that, what was a crest now becomes downward, so it becomes kind of a trough, and the trough here becomes upward and becomes a crest, and so you get this pattern. A little later in time, then, you get the full amplitude back. Everything's reversed, though. Crests become troughs, and troughs become crests. And this picture looks a little busy, and I hope it doesn't confuse you. This is trying to show the wave at different moments in time. And so all these humps don't happen at the same time, but it's kind of a breathing effect. All right, so you really need to see that on the video so that this picture can make sense. And what I like to do for any problem like this, and you see me do it in number 24 and number 25, and now that I've made that so busy, why don't I just redraw it? And maybe I'll just draw a second moment in time, and so maybe the two of them will be enough that you can see how it moves, but not enough that it looks so busy and confusing. So usually we like to do that. And these points, these magical points that don't move, are referred to as nodes, and the points that do move a lot, the most, which would become a crest to a trough and back and forth. And so all these points would be antinodes. I won't label them all. And these points in here, I won't label them all, are the nodes. Okay. Now, the thing about this problem is they make it very, very clear here that you're to draw, okay, so I'm going to draw it, a diagram representing a standing wave pattern with the fourth harmonic. And so here's what that means. When it's tied at both ends, one end has to be a node. Let's say this. Okay, so I'll draw kind of a wall and forget about the rest of it. And the other end has to be a node. And so it could be any of these. And so all these possibilities are here. Why don't I just draw the wall here? Okay, let's say it's tied right there. So I'll forget about those. And so if you look, you have a hump. It goes down. And so that's a full wavelength right there. And then another full wavelength. I like to think of it as 4 humps, so 4 half wavelengths. So a hump, there's a half wavelength, another hump, there's a half wavelength, another hump, there's another half wavelength, another one. So that would be then 4 little humps. And that's how we label our harmonics. We label them by how many little humps are here. Because the smallest one or the lowest one would be a 1 hump. So that's called the first harmonic. The next one would have 2 humps. So that's the second harmonic. Another possibility is a pattern that would look like, oops, that. And so that'd be the third harmonic. So what you're asked to draw would be something with 4 humps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something that looked like that. And maybe one other moment in time, so you're showing it is a standing wave, not as a traveling wave. So that's the picture they want you to draw there. Draw a diagram representing the standing wave pattern for the 4th harmonic. The big thing is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 humps. Then it asks how many nodes are there. There are 3 freestanding nodes and 2 fixed nodes. So some people will answer that as a 3, and some people will answer it as a 5. I would say most people answer it as a 3 because the fixed ones are, required. It said it was tied to the end, So it's like, okay, well, obviously that is a node. So, but 3 freestanding nodes is probably the best way to answer. In fact, let me skim to the questions here. Yeah, your author says there's 3 and draws this picture. He doesn't say 3 free ones, but that should really be put because there's always a confusing if some people count these and call it 5 nodes, some people don't. So I like to say there's 3 freestanding nodes. All right, hope that helped.